Hello, Raul, Chris Wood, Meme Making Chris, Fahadi, Johnny, and Mark Foot. Alright, Chris, we'll catch you on the replay, no problem. Thank you all for the good luck. Ball Breakers, feeling pretty good right now. I felt better after I got off the stream. I wonder, it sounds stupid, but the only thing that really changed was the tablet screen and the two computer screens. So I don't know, maybe it was just like a little overwhelmed, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, Mark, I don't know. Let's see. What was that? Okie. Hey, Glenn, how are you? Okie and Iceman. Okie guy made it. And Iceman made it. And we did it. We made it. We were in like a 5-way tie for 6th place, which was interesting. There was no 7th place. The next one was 11th place. So we played well enough. And here we are on the final day. I don't recall any mistakes I made. I just remember feeling kind of crappy. But I'm kind of, you know, now I know what to expect. I'm kind of expecting to feel a little crappy as as it goes on. And if I don't, bonus, right? What's up, Steve Finn? I ended up minus 12 ball breakers. Mentally, I wasn't 100%. I probably, well, when am I 100% mentally, to be honest? Never. All right, let's hop right in once we make sure we understand the notes properly. Por favor. All right, max plus 10, 6 top and 3 right. Max OP and max right curl. We're setting up at the plus 3 yard mark. Bullseye at the bottom of plus 2. Let's give it a try. If I do end up feeling and I don't make it for whatever reason, I'll be fine with that, you know, because starting tomorrow we're going up to 2-hour streams and I'm barely doing 1 hour. I'm not like deathbed, you know, or anything like that. I never was. It just, you know, it does still take a lot out of you, unfortunately. What's up, D-Champ? Wyatt's talking to me. Hey, Wyatt, how you doing, buddy? Grandpa will get to see you again soon. What's up, Brian Coatsart? Last day of isolation. Congratulations on that, man. Let's see. Okay, 3 right, 6 top. We need to move a little further over. I think it's more like that. Nope, no, it's not more like that. It's more like that. All right, 8, 9. Max OP, max right curl.
Great shot.
He's pointing and yelling at me. Hi, Wyatt! I love you so much, buddy. What the hell? I did full curl. That's all right. It ain't gonna penalize us a shot. Wyatt! Burp doop doop a doop boop a doo. I'm so happy he didn't get sick. Wyatt and Lexi and Colin were the last people I saw before I tested positive. And, yeah, that sucked. What's up, Hank? Good to see you. I hit a double grate. I guess I'm just not used to it. That felt like a good grate to me, but I mean, I think my first drive yesterday was a good, so it probably was a double grate. That's luck right there. I'll take his luck. Seven, 3. Oh, that's 66%. All right, 2.5. Some drops would be nice. This would definitely be considered one. But with a great shot, the likelihood is way, way, way down.
Nice on.
Oh, yikes. You were in the car with your kid to stay away from your wife? Hey, Mark, you still working? Rob G, how are you, bud? Oh, man. Woo-wee.
Great shot.
What's up, Mauricio?
Nice on.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, my wife started feeling sick one day, like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. 2 days ago, I think. So I gave her my last at-home test. She tested negative. But for how contagious they say the Omicron variant is, the doctor still wanted to see her and test her. She went to the doctor, got tested, and it came back negative. You know, she's not sure what to think or believe, but you know, it's a double-edged sword. Part of you wants it, because it's so mild and it gives you immunity for both Omicron and Delta, which is much more dangerous. But, also, even though it's a lot more rare, it's still COVID. It still can get out of hand. And, you could have a worst case scenario with it. So while you have it, it's scary. It's not scary because you're struggling to breathe. It's scary mentally because, everyone's telling you how deadly it is. So like I said yesterday, if there was no pandemic going on and I felt as sick as I did yesterday, I would say I had a bad cold. The worst cold I ever had? No. A bad cold? Yeah. Slightly worse than your typical run-of-the-mill cold. Jim Sanders, how are you, buddy? That's what happened to me when I was at my daughter's, Johnny. I had really weird sleep the night before because I had to take the dog to the groomer, so I got 2 hours of sleep before that. I ended up just trying to stay up. I couldn't, so I got like 15 minutes of sleep before the groomer called and said the dog is done. So then I woke up again. Then I was deciding, should I stay up or should I not stay up? I decided to stay up, I decided not to stay up. I ended up sleeping until 8 or 9. And then Lexi called me. I had a bit of a headache. And, I was feeling like a little dizzy. But the headache usually comes when I sleep till 8 p.m. And the dizziness is always there whenever I have anxiety. But I wasn't going to miss my grandson's party for anxiety. 2.4 top, 1 right. And then when I was at her house, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. Can we do the cake smashing tomorrow? And when I got home, I didn't feel any better. As a matter of fact, I felt worse, and that's when I got scared. And I waited about 24 hours to take the test. 9-5. Oh my God, we hit perfect. Hey Greg, what's up, man? Good to see you. How you been? Thought I was gonna get Johnny ties there. Darn it, did something wrong. I probably adjusted to the wrong angle. What's up, Brandon? Kevin? Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with my booster shot. There's a little conspiracy, and conspiracy does not mean that it's not true. A conspiracy, like if you look up the actual definition of the word conspiracy, it doesn't mean you're a conspiracy nut if you hear it. But supposedly, if you do a little bit of research on your own, you'll be able to find supposedly one of the vaccine creators got banned from Twitter for saying something about the vaccines. And, this is one guy out of an entire company, so take it with a grain of salt. I personally don't like my news censored. I don't like this new generation of news that we have where they tell us how we're supposed to feel about what we're hearing, and the only time we get, like, God, I don't want to get into this. I really don't want to get into this, but my God, like the January 6th insurrection. There was no freaking insurrection. If you compare what happened at the Capitol to all the riots that happened everywhere else, it's just so funny that, this gets that name, that stigma attached to it or whatever. You burn down police departments and, people's livelihoods and, beat up people and everything else that went on. And like the least offensive out of all of them And I'm not saying out of all the peaceful protests, fine. I got no problem with it. I may not agree what you're protesting for, but you know that whole thing about I'll die to protect your right to, you know, protest. That's perfectly fine. They're not the same people. But to call January 6th an insurrection is just ridiculous if you look at what happened at the Capitol and compare that to what was happening across major cities all over the United States, especially Seattle, Portland, Chicago's got a freaking insurrection, if we're using words like that. Cleveland has an insurrection. I mean, it's How you doing, Solve? Thank you so much. Can we get some love in the chat for Solve? We got Nate, Dixon, Archer, Cayman, Nate's Talk Show. I do like that. I might have to listen to your channel. I might like it. I've been wanting to do a talk show, but I don't think I'm going to mix it with It's RJ TV. I might start a new channel. And I'd like to set it up where I could have a 800 number and, you know, like talk with people. Kind of like YouTube AM radio, I guess. Brandon says, when I got my booster shot, I felt good on the first day, but the next day I was sore, but that was about it for me. Yeah, when I got my second shot of the Pfizer, I hardly even felt the needle go in my arm. You know, for all I know, she could have faked it. I'm not saying she did. I'm just saying it was unbelievably painless. I never developed a sore arm. The first time I got it, it felt like someone punched me in the arm, like in a particular way that, you know, that like your muscle cramped up or something like that. I had absolutely no adverse effects to the second shot. Whew. Human race is weird. Lexi says, do it. You could have guests like Colin and Aiden. Keith would be funny. You know, I keep talking about doing it, but nothing ever really comes of it. But, I mean, I hear there is something, you know, because there's a lot of people that come here, and they may not agree with me, or they may agree with me and be like, look, man, I'm here to escape that crap. So I try to minimize it, but sometimes it's just like in the forefront of my brain. Bashir, what's going on, man? Just got over the coronavirus myself. Very mild symptoms, headaches, fatigue, and sleepy. Yeah, I ended up getting better. I had 2 days of rock-like sleep. Like I was out for probably 10, 12 hours, but my God, I felt great. Let's see. Dixon says, following your reason, then the riots after Super Bowls and college games compare. Well, I don't know. Are they violent? Do Super Bowl fans beat up? I've never really seen a Super Bowl riot. I could be wrong. I do watch the Super Bowl, but I generally turn it off when the game's over. I don't want to watch whatever it is that they're pushing afterward. I like to see the funny commercials. Super Bowl's really fun to watch and really hard to watch because you can never pee. It's like the only time to take a break is during the singing halftime show, at least for me anyway. College, I do know that some college cities flip over cars, burn cars in the street and everything. And you know what? They need to be held accountable for that. Do I think it's insurrection? No. Do I think it was an insurrection, what happened in Portland and Seattle and all these other places? No, I don't think any of it. But the January 6th thing, definitely also not an insurrection. An insurrection is like an armed takeover of someone's capital or something. You had some idiot with horns. I'm not saying these people are good people or did the right thing. I'm just saying it's funny how you're calling everything that happened in all the major cities. Look at what happened in, was it Kenosha or whatever with Rittenhouse? 100% support Rittenhouse. You know, it sucks that it came to what it came to. And he showed he didn't want to take any lives either, but I mean, that was really a case on self-defense. What's up, Brian Neal? Hey, Jeffrey. You know, Rob G, actually, I heard Moderna is actually better than Pfizer. So you probably got some of the best RNA. But I'm also hearing that now maybe the RNA isn't quite as good as, you know, the Johnson & Johnson, and I forget what they call it over there in, you know, there's one also in Europe. What's up, Jersey guy? Brandon. But like I said, I know most... Brian Neal, did I say hi to you? Most people don't want to hear that here now. They want Golf Clash. So let me do Golf Clash. And you guys are just kind of showing me that maybe I should start a second channel. But I will, you know, Dixon, if you do have anything else you want me to respond to, I'll definitely respond. Or anyone else has any really good questions. But we're going to seal it up after this 9-hole cup is over. So, I mean, if this bothers you, I apologize, but I am giving you a heads up. We won't be doing it next weekend, or I'm sorry, we won't be doing it tomorrow, but I would definitely like to take on anyone that says what happened at the Capitol was worse than what happened in every other major city. I am too, Rob G. I was supposed to get mine early December, and I was scared. Out of all my merchandise, what would you recommend? Probably a mug. I mean, in all honesty, though, bud, I didn't put a bunch of work in the merchandise. I feel like I can do so much better. So, I mean, if you want to support the channel and get a mug out of it or something, or if there's anything you need there, I don't know if there's like a mouse pad or something, definitely pick it up. But it's, you know, I made everything in like a minute, and it deserves way more attention than that. All right, I'm sorry. Let's see. Club plus 10%. Oh, we play that last one at 0? I wonder. You know, Dixon, he did not take a rifle across state line to defend himself. The rifle never left Wisconsin. Someone in Wisconsin purchased the rifle for him and held on to it. And, you know, it was there for him when he was protecting the property. So that was like the first big misconception of the whole Rittenhouse thing, was they tried to say he broke a law by taking, you know, a weapon across a state border. The gun never left Kenosha. It never went from Illinois to Kenosha. It never even entered Illinois. Another thing I've seen is the news making mistakes and saying, you know, that Rittenhouse killed 3 black men. They were all white. Not that it should matter. We're all human beings. We're all red on the inside. But, you know, apparently it does matter. And there was they also tried saying that the reason for the protest is because police shot and killed a guy. The guy's still alive. I think he's paralyzed from the waist down, but that generally happens when you reach into a car to grab a knife when the cops are following you with guns and tasers telling you don't get in that car. Anyway, I hope, oh, Dixon, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hey, Tuck. I hope if we have any disagreements, though, with anyone on here, please know we disagree. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean you have to hate me. It's just a good conversation, you know? So, anyway, going on to hole 3, my apologies. 10%. We're pushing up to max. Drive needs work. May just use big topper. Okay. We'll see what happens. It looks like as long as we get that first bounce, we're good. You know, maybe we won't be able to do the rough bump with the Grizzly, but we should be able to... You know what, though? We probably do have a bag. I wish I could check my bag. There's nothing that I'm doing here, but whatever. Maybe we will try a bounce over. I don't know. Patak, what's up, buddy? Boomer, how are you? Do you know that it's a proven fact that they bust Antifa to infiltrate the rally? What happened was not done by patriots. It doesn't surprise me. I know that Antifa has bust people in places elsewhere, and they got called out for it. And, you know, but of course the news never covers that. I know that, let's see here. People were bussed in to vote. I mean, I know, I don't, a lot of people don't want me to go there. I think it's a simple thing. One party's playing dirty, and one party's playing like, oh, well, if we don't go dirty, maybe the other party won't go dirty anymore. And that hasn't been the case. And it's sad because they're going to force both parties to go dirty, and then both parties look like trash. Max OP.
Great shot.
Oop. That's all right. We might still have a rough bump. What's up, gents? Let's see. So he didn't cross a state line. Oh, so that makes it okay for Rittenhouse. Glad I don't live in a country where I can get shot with an assault rifle by a 17-year-old and he has no consequences. Jeffrey, I don't blame you for having that opinion about it, because the media is full of BS. If you want to be like educated on what happened, the entire trial is on YouTube. You can watch the trial in its entirety, which might take like 24 to 48 hours, but it was all completely televised.
Great shot.
And when you come to your opinion after watching the trial, you know, I don't know, maybe there's more to be debated. But this was really about self-defense. Someone was trying to get his gun away from him and threaten to kill him. Let's see, club -5. I'm sorry, I'll get right back to that. Like I said, this will be the only stream that I'm going to do it, because I don't want to ruin Golf Clash for everyone that don't want to, you know, that's already been through this or been in arguments online or whatever. This is not an argument. This is just a conversation. Okay, let's see. So yeah, the first guy was threatening to kill him and take his gun, and he was grabbing for his gun. He lunged towards Rittenhouse, and Rittenhouse opened fire on him, and, you know, killed him immediately. Then, after the shot was fired, a bunch of the crowd, like, there's more to that part that I knew, but I can't pull it up in my head right now. But the information's out there. It's all out there. And don't look at CNN. Don't look at the BBC. Don't look at whatever it is. Don't look at Fox News. Look at the court case itself. Then, you know, when people saw that someone was shot or whatever, you know, they're like, oh, he killed him, get him. And, you know, he was being chased by a bunch of people. He got kicked and, you know, knocked down, and he's sitting here with this freaking assault rifle. And there's people trying to take it. One of the other guys that he shot, I don't know if this was the one he shot and killed or the one he shot in the arm, pulled out a gun, and Rittenhouse was on the ground with his gun, and as he was pulling out his gun, Rittenhouse shot him. I can't remember if he was I think he was the guy that was a child molester, and yes, one has nothing to do with the other, aside from maybe say a little bit about your character. So, Nate, you know what? I would get tired of playing Golf Clash, but it's the people who hang out that make it so much better. It's kind of like poker night. Wouldn't you get tired of poker night? You know, the same cards every... No, it's the having fun with people, you know. Like, I can't play online poker, you know. I could play poker with strangers if my anxiety isn't, like, really messing up or whatever. But anyway, yeah, the thing about Rittenhouse, the reason why there was no consequences, because on any of the charges and any of the cases that he would have been charged for, it would have been an attack on self-defense. Every shot he fired was in self-defense. But the media does not want to portray that. That's why I say you gotta watch the court case. The guy with the gun was shot in the arm. Okay, thank you. Tuck. Oh no, Dixon, man, I'm so happy to hear you say you, Jeffrey. I've gotten into a couple debates with some people, and it's all ended very, very well. That's how I know you're quality people. You know, we can agree to disagree. And, you know, we can act, next time we see each other, we act like nothing ever happened. And even this time when we do see each other, there's no insults thrown. There's no, you know, it's just, we're talking about current events. We're talking about past events, you know. If it was all about the hate, I wouldn't have the first, that, I mean, honestly, that's probably the one thing that's a bit of a turnoff for me, starting a second channel like a talk show thing, because you'll get people who watch just to get angry, just to call me names, just you know, do whatever. And we don't have that here for the most part. And when we do, it's a name that I'd never recognize.
Perfect shot. Nice on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. A lot of people just aren't capable of it, you know? I have friends that I have these types of conversations with who are very liberal. And, you know, they're my friends because they're good with it, you know? I'm good with it. We have a conversation. We can't convert one or other. I've had my mind changed before. But I mean, I feel like there's just facts here that can't be disputed. 7695. Come on, Johnny, I need some magic here. We hit perfect. We set up. Hopefully we did everything correctly. Damn it, Johnny. That's your notes. Never mind, they could have made the hole just a little bit bigger. Never mind, I could have adjusted it a slight 1159 or 1201. That's your notes. No, I never get that close. Whenever I play a par 3, if I get that close, I'm like, wow, I would have won that shootout if this was the actual game.
Birdie.
You know what, Johnny? I'm glad you said that. I understand what you're saying. And he even said he wishes he wasn't there. If he could go back all over again and do it, he wouldn't be there. He wanted to help, and it turned into something horrible, you know, according to him, you know. Now, that is an opinion, or not an opinion, but that is hearsay. We don't know that he really wanted to help. Maybe he wanted to hold his AK-47. He's 17 years old. You know, we don't know exactly, but the prosecutor kept telling him he had no business to be there. That I had a problem with, because the prosecutor would not say a single thing about anyone destroying property, threatening people, blocking streets, throwing stuff, bricks, whatever, whatever it was. And yes, most of the people there were peacefully protesting. Most were. It only takes a few to screw things up for everyone. But the prosecutor, man, he seemed so two-faced. Why did you have to be there? You had no business being there. It's like you're the state attorney prosecutor or whatever, the prosecutor of Kenosha, and you have a guy who's doing the right thing, and the police are thanking him and giving him water and everything else. And instead of saying that the protesters had no right to be there, and by protesters I mean the violent ones, you're saying if he was never there, they would have never, they would have never died, I guess. They were protecting a few car lots, Now, another thing is Rittenhouse was asking people if they needed first aid. The frickin' prosecutor's like, are you trained in first aid? Are you an EMT? He's like, no. He's like, I took like a pre-class for it. Just people with cuts, people with twisted ankles that might have, fell, because no ambulance could get in there. If he was doing these things, wonderful, great for him. I don't know if there's proof or no proof of him actually administering first aid to people or whatever, but he was the victim, But that didn't fit the narrative, so the media sliced him up into little pieces and fed those little pieces to their viewers. And their viewers just keep falling for it, He was attacked by 3 different people, and he was able to successfully fend off. No, he was attacked by at least 4 people, because one guy kicked him in the head, and I don't know if he didn't know which one who kicked him, but that guy survived. He didn't shoot at him, because he kicked him in the head, and then he backed off. The only people that he killed were people that were advancing him. Here, let me give you a physical demonstration. This is why I don't do concealed carry. I don't. If you ever want to find me on the streets, I will be unarmed. Let's pretend this, which is a very old, shotgun. Let's pretend this is small, right? And it fits in my pocket. If I'm walking down the street and someone is getting in my face and they're getting aggressive to me, I am now in twice as much trouble as I was prior. Why am I in twice as much trouble as I was prior? Because if I didn't have this on me, most likely the worst thing that would happen is I'd get my ass kicked. You dust yourself off, you live to fight another day. But now that I'm walking around armed, I know that while I'm in a fight, my gun can accidentally discharge, or the person fighting me could grab my gun and take it from me. So if you have a gun, you can't get into that physical fight. It's too dangerous for you. So now you have to pull your weapon and be willing to use it. Kyle Rittenhouse did not want to shoot anyone, and he had to. And he paid dearly. Even though he wasn't found guilty, he spent a lot of time in jail, if I'm not mistaken, waiting for the trial. He's probably going to have to get a new identity, move. All his family that, doesn't get caught up is going to get frickin' bullied for the rest of their lives and everything. That's not necessarily true, though, Jeffrey. Israel, is it the Sweden or Switzerland, is on that list, and that's just 2 off the top of my head that are right up there. But I mean, Iran and Iraq, absolutely, they've been war-torn nations forever. You definitely need to protect yourself there. Saudi Arabia, they're rich. They're going to do what they want. I mean, they believe in self-defense. That's fine. Mexico is a developing country. I mean, I don't think there's much wrong with Mexico. aside from them being two-faced, not wanting there to be a border on the U.S. side because it's inhumane, but on their southern border, it's been through our media, so I don't know, it could be exaggerated, but through our media, they torture people and, they make sure you do not want to cross into the Mexican border. Many, many, many people travel to Mexico on vacation. Is there cartels out there? Yes. Is there gangs in the United States? Yes. I would put any area in Mexico up against almost any major United States city and say that it could be tit for tat. Now, yes, the murder rate might be higher in say Mexico City or maybe some of these more outlier cities overall. But I mean, if you're the wrong person walking down the street, or even if you're the right person walking down the street, right here in Cleveland, you're going to draw attention to yourself and you're going to get killed. You have 14-year-old kids killing 14-year-old kids in Chicago. That's on the news. That's verified. Cleveland doesn't really make the news for things like that. Is it happening? Sure. Look at the homicides here in Cleveland. However, Chicago is always branded as the worst. It's definitely not the worst per capita, but I think it's the worst just in terms of the overwhelming numbers. And the funny thing about it is you're not allowed to own a gun in the city limits of Chicago. That makes you an easy target. So why would you want to be, why would you want to be an easy target? Now, I don't know. Me personally, I don't carry a gun. I'd rather rely on, the old-fashioned. I try to avoid conflict 100%. If I can't, I'd rather fight with these than have someone come at me armed or have myself be armed and feel like, oh man, if I didn't have my gun, I would just have to punch. But now I have to worry about this person overpowering me. Maybe he pokes me in my eye or something that I don't expect, and then boom, he's got my gun drawn on me. That's my personal reason why I don't do a CCW. I fully support the right, for CCW. I think CCW is actually stupid. I don't think you should need a permit to carry concealed or to carry for open carry. Where I live, you're allowed to open carry, but if you have a concealed weapon and you don't have the permit, you go to prison. So it's like if I were to go out now and put a gun in my waistband and I got stopped, I would go to prison. But if I go and take this little test and everything, well, then I can just show them along with my driver's license that I have a concealed carry weapons card, and they'll be like, all right, be on your way. But you still can't take that weapon into gun-free zones. You can't take your gun into a school, which may blow your mind here, but I honestly think if teachers were armed, school shootings would be a lot less of a thing. Gun-free zones, basically, this whole tangent came from Chicago. Chicago is a big gun-free zone. Is it working? It is gang on gang mostly, though, but it's gang on gang, it's black on black, it's poor on poor. There is a clear problem there, these kids are forced to join again. Remember, I grew up in the 90s. Crime was much worse in the 90s than it has been. I mean, I don't know about today with everything going on, but in the 90s, gangs were huge. If you weren't in a gang in my high school, you better be very good close friends with one, or you don't have a chance. Because if someone doesn't like you, and they hit you, or they do whatever it is that they do to you, and you retaliate in any way, and you have a favorable outcome, you're getting jumped every day after school by that gang. So, I mean, I tried to join a gang. I tried to join a gang called the Folks. I don't know, many of you guys might not have heard of that, but it's a pretty big one. And I don't know, like I was tired of waiting for the I was tired of waiting for the initiation. So then there was another gang called the Crips, and I literally went there to be, to join it because I was tired of the BS, man. I was, you can't fight one person. If you beat someone up in a gang, you get beat up by the entire gang. And the Crip thing didn't work out. Someone important didn't show up, and I didn't go back. I was just like, I guess it wasn't meant to be. So I created my own gang. And we were about 20 people strong, and because we were so small, we didn't have any affiliations with anyone. But hey, if normally with the gangs in my area anyway, it's not like it'd be a full set versus a full set. You get 4 or 5 people together to jump you. So 20 was more than enough people, and even that didn't work out. So Funny James, what's up, buddy? That's 100% right. It's so funny that you say that, James, because I hope he does sign it, Bashir, because Cleveland back in the 90s was the most dangerous city to walk, down the street on. Once I got my license, I was fine. Nobody messed with me. I didn't mess with them. You had occasional problems at a store or whatever, or a club or wherever you put yourself in a situation. But, yeah, once I started driving, no more fighting for me, because I just wasn't out there for people to target. So, Chicago's a gun-free zone, but what is it doing for them? Gang or no gang, if you live in Chicago and don't have a gun, you have a severe disadvantage. What is going to stop someone from having their way in your house? A gun that you have, or a phone where you can call 911? And in a city like Cleveland, when you call 911, they generally show up pretty late because everyone's calling 911. It wasn't like a murder or anything, but my house got broke into. We were moving out, so everything was packed up, and someone busted in a window. This was West 74th and Detroit Avenue, for those of you guys who are in Cleveland. Very nasty area. We called 911. Hey, our house got broke into. Okay, we're sending officers out. About an hour later, nothing's going on. I called back. I said, yeah, our house got broken into. They're here threatening us. They're still here. They weren't, but we're just trying to get them out because we wanted our stuff back. Okay, we're sending an officer out. About a half hour later, a cop car drives down the street and stops in front of the house and says, I walk up to the car. He's like, are you the one, who was robbed? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I'm not the responding officer. I was just, checking to see if things were okay. A responding officer never showed up. We had to go to the precinct to file a report. What do you think they did with that report? Now, did I want to shoot anyone for stealing my stuff? No, I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want to know that I took a life because some idiot had a drug habit. And, it did suck that we packed it up so nicely for him, though. Here, you want to steal stuff? Just take the brown boxes right out the window. Let's see. What's up, Jack? Sam says, the big question is, why do certain people have to be bad people? If people acted as good folks, we'd not have these problems. Be nice, polite, and humble. The world would be a better place. Sam, you're 100% right, but there's just people out there that don't have that in them. They won't be disrespected. They won't be this, that, or the other. They're bullies. They're thugs. They're just pieces of crap, and their lives are so miserable that they're only happy if they can make you as miserable as they are. I said what I said, fuzzy elf. Looking at it all from the other side of the pond. USA is getting more and more crazy insane. Borderline failed state. Yeah, Jensby, completely agree. I don't think it's because of guns, but I agree with you. And you know what I honestly think the problem is, but I don't know how to fix it? I think the problem is a two-party system. And I think I'm going to lose a lot of people. People who agreed with me up until this point and people who disagreed with me also. But the main problem, in my opinion, is you get a Republican in office and he sets an agenda. 4 or 8 years later, you get a Democrat in office, and his first things that he's going to do is undo everything the Republican just did. And then he stays in office for 4 or 8 terms. And then you get another Republican in office, and what does he do? He undoes everything the guy did before him. And it's just constant back and forth like that. And then you got people in Congress, you know, who are lifelong senators, and they're filthy rich, and in no way are they a public servant. So yeah, it's a big cluster mess. Anyway, let's get back on track. I'm sorry. Max plus 10, 6 top spin, OP as adjusted, and set up at +0 right fairway. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that as well, James. James makes a great point that most of the BS stops at the city limits. If I lived in the country, I'd probably be a totally different person. And you know what? Cities are shrinking. You know, I mean, there's some southwestern cities. I think maybe some cities in Florida that are still growing. But for the most part, everyone wants to get out. There's good people in Chicago that live in really horrible neighborhoods that don't want to deal with. The city of Cleveland had well over 500,000 people when I was in high school. Now we have like 1/3 people. That's a lot of people to lose. People are just tired of the BS. The inner city keeps voting for the same people, and the same people keep implementing the same policies that haven't worked for the past 50 years, and they're not working now. And that's where you get that whole saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Perfect shot.
I'm sure I turned a lot of people off, and I apologize to the people I turned off, but it is what it is, you know? I don't have a better way to put it. Cayman, depends what kind of mac and cheese. If you're talking Kraft macaroni and cheese in a cardboard box, if you're very hungry, it tastes very good. Now, if you're talking about that macaroni and cheese that people sometimes make for Thanksgiving, where you kind of get like that little bit of burnt cheese across the top, and everyone's fighting for, you know, the crispy parts, That kind of macaroni and cheese is where it's at. Hitting more perfects this time.
Nice on.
Yeah, people could say, well, others could get a gun. I want one. Not long ago,
Birdie.
a insane was president last and had control of nukes, so everyone should have control of nukes. Just be safe, makes sense. I'm sorry, I know there was a couple typos there. I make typos myself. But I think I'm getting the gist of what you're saying. I would like to know in what way Donald Trump was insane. Was he... did he say stupid things? Yeah. Did he overshare? Should he have had, like, maybe someone a little more responsible control his Twitter for him or something like? Yeah. But one thing I don't think you can call him is insane. I mean, he's a billionaire. He ran the country very well. We were prospering under him. The coronavirus came. The media made it seem like it was all Trump's fault. We had an election, and now he's not there anymore. And if you compare what it's like to walk through a store right now, at least where I live, or try to go to, like, I went to Walgreens to get my normal prescriptions yesterday. No exaggeration. I waited in my car for an hour and 40 minutes. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to, and that's fine. I'm not getting into why people don't want to work or whatever. We can, but, I'm not trying to. If this is building back better than what? Because if I compare the two, if everyone compares the two, I think things were much better 1 to 4 years ago than they have been now. I would say that's just me, but it's not just me. Maybe the other side could say, oh, well, there's this, and this. That's why. Okay, well, I would be willing to listen to it. But so far, the only things I heard is, like, you got to have a certain, like, your truck if you want to pick up some cargo at the docks so we could get these boats, moving from the Pacific and getting more product in. It can't be more than, what is it, like 3 or 5 years old because of some emissions thing or something like that. It's crazy. It's like Orwellian. I don't understand it, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to. Do I care about the planet? Yes, I do. Do I want a 1972 Peterbilt truck to, destroy our atmosphere with tons of black smoke pouring out of it at idle? No, of course not. But there's ways to do things, and there's ways to, you need, it's like medication in a way. You're like, medication? What the heck is he talking about? Let me just set this shot up. First, you're supposed to do no harm. So they're not going to give you medication if you don't really need it, because sometimes, a lot of times, the side effects of medication can be worse than what you currently are dealing with. Or it could give you it can help you short term, but then it hurts you long term.
Great shot.
Is there such person as Ronald Reagan Jr.? And this is a sniper too, so that sucks. Trump did not know how to talk to people. He was brash, whatever the word is. He was offensive. He was not someone that you would want to have as a dinner guest, in front of your kids. If he were to talk like, the grabber by the type, comments or whatever. But at the same time, if you just look at where the United States was and where the United States is, Legendary, are you saying there was no pandemic when Trump was in office? I could have sworn there was. I generally do vote Republican. I'll say that if that's what you wanted to hear from me. But I don't always vote Republican. I voted for Obama. I almost voted for Gore. It was funny. Gore actually screwed himself over with me. When a lot of you guys should remember this. Him and George W. Bush were having a debate.
Perfect shot.
And frickin' Al Gore tried to get up in George W.'s face as it was his turn. He literally got face to face. He stood 2-3 inches away from him, and George Bush is trying to give his answer, and he just looks at him and laughs. And at that point, I'm like, this guy's a frickin' bully. I'm like, just for that stunt alone, I don't want to vote for this guy. I ended up loving George W. Bush and voting for him for the second term as well. I don't think George W. Bush was a horrible president. I think he did put us in, some wars that we didn't belong in.
Great shot.
Which was very unfortunate, and that's what keeps him out of the conversation for great president. He did right by a lot of American people. I don't think Obama was that bad of a president, to be honest with you. I thought he was horrible while he was in office. But then, that's when I stopped watching Fox News. That's when I realized, okay, I see the game that's being played.
Perfect shot.
When there's a Republican in office, you're going to praise him and, go gaga over him. And when there's a Democrat in office, you're going to say how horrible things are, even if they do the same exact thing. Fox News is guilty of this, but so is MSNBC, CNN, all the major networks that aren't cable. They all do the same thing, and it's a game I'm just not willing to play. I'm done. If Joe Biden was a good, effective president, I would vote for him on a second term.
Eagle.
Things aren't going good. All right. We do have people wanting to talk here, so I do want to address a couple things. Trump cares about Trump and his ego. Gelly, I agree with that. He does. Trump took a long time to react to COVID and said it was fake first, and then later he did everything perfect, more or less. Yeah, I don't agree with the way Trump handled the virus at the beginning. I don't agree with the way Trump handled any of the virus, to be honest with you. However, what has Biden done any better in any way? Please let me know and show me where these implementations are helping. Legendary says, yeah, was there a pandemic? Yeah, there was a pandemic. Was there a pandemic? No, there wasn't a pandemic for the last 4 years, but there was a pandemic starting in 2019, technically 2020, in the United States, and both presidents equally had, 1 year in office now? And we went through our toilet paper crisis. You know, everyone remembers that, trying to buy toilet paper. Now it just seems like every store you walk in is going out of business. And again, you know, James said and I agree with him, there's a big difference between the big cities and the country. Walgreens, like I said, I never waited for a prescription an hour and 40 minutes. I'd get mad if I waited 20 minutes in line. But I needed my prescription. There was no other option for me to do anything. You walk into a store, it looks like it's going out of business. There's bare shelves, not everywhere, but you know, there's simple things that you just expect to be there that always were there the entire time, with the exception of Lysol, gloves, and masks when Trump was president. There was a huge run on those three things. Now I go into a grocery store, they have no bread. I can buy hamburger buns, you know, and so I'm not starving. I'm not saying that, but there's definitely some big differences there anyway. I feel much better, Roy. Thanks. Oh, well, Gelly says I just answered his questions, and he said he doesn't give a shit. He's leaving, so. All right. Sorry I answered your questions. Manish, yes, I know every country is suffering, and the United States has me really concerned because a lot of people come to the United States for care before the pandemic, and the United States' death rate is like insanely high compared to every other country out there. The United States has just been absolutely beaten to death by this pandemic, under both Trump and Biden. You know, and Biden said Trump didn't know what he was doing and he was going to do better. And I don't see better. They both had a year to deal with it. They both have the same Fauci guy, and nothing's better. If anything, something might be worse. Yeah, the Afghan thing is big too, but you know, I mean, I guess I'm trying to focus on, you know, what's going on right now. Meat prices are soaring, so is wood. Oh, look at what's happening in Australia. That lockdown over there. I mean, maybe it's over now, but... And then China, I heard China locked down one of their huge cities as well. And when they lock down a city, you know, at least according to the United States media or whatever, they'll, at the very beginning of the pandemic, they were sealing doors to apartments so people couldn't get out. That's draconian, you know? I mean, what was happening... What's draconian to us and what's draconian to the Chinese people are two totally different things. If you want hope in this pandemic, take a look at Japan. They are kicking butt. They know what the heck they're doing. All right, let me focus on this for a moment. Denmark is not suffering one bit. There might be some businesses that do, but the majority no. That's because your country's being run right, gents. I'd be proud of that. Very patriotic. Randy Hance, that's 100% right, and that's right for both parties as well. That's why even though I generally vote Republican, I don't consider myself a Republican. I don't want to be in someone's party. I want what's best for the country. U.S. Constitution hamstrings the government. Other countries tell them they're on lockdown. They are. Well, in Florida, I like what they're doing in Florida. Is it Governor DeSantis or whatever isn't putting up with it. He's not letting them overstep their constitutional power. You know, the states have power of the states. The federal government is mainly there for war. You know, and then also, you know, it's mainly, you know, they're there for protection. I don't think the American problem is the shepherd. It's the polarity in the flock. But you know what the problem is with that, though, Sean? What do you consider the media? The media is 100% the problem. Like, you may say the problem isn't Joe Biden. Okay, I'll hear you out. I will. The problem may not be Joe Biden. The problem is the media no longer reports the news. They tell you how they feel, how you should feel. And if you don't feel this way, you're racist, or you're an anti-vaxxer, or you're this, that, or the other, and they slam you over the head, and they laugh at you, and they ridicule you. We don't have any honest news in the United States. It's all propaganda for the left now. All right. Yeah, let me focus on this. So, and then we have one channel, Fox News, and all they are is propaganda for the right. They don't tell you, like, don't, if I'm not saying don't. Basically, these networks are preaching to the choir. If you're a Republican, watch Fox News. If you're a Democrat, watch MSNBC. If you want to be happy 24/7, anytime there's a Republican president, you watch Fox News and nothing else. And every time there's a Democratic president, you watch all the other stations and nothing else. And then you'll think we live in utopia. Max plus 10, max top possible, max right, click of overpower with no push-up. All right, let's go. Well, clearly I feel better today than I did yesterday, because I would have wanted to get off like immediately, and now we're having a good conversation. Hey, Glenn, how you doing, buddy? All right, plus 7. Next top, like that. 8, 9. Just a click of overpower, and this is a slice. What's up, Paulo? That is a beautiful shot. I know I stirred up a hornet's nest, and I know I made a lot of people who like me and I like them, you know, angry. And I do apologize that it got to that, you know, that you're angry. I just want you to know I'm not angry. Even if I know you're angry, I'm not angry. Just having a conversation. I hope cooler heads prevail. And tomorrow, when we don't talk about any of this, it'd be cool to see your shining faces in the chat. However, if what I said offended you to the point where, you know, you no longer want to watch, I'm sorry that happened, but Alexa, snooze. My laundry's probably done. 5 minutes? I always thought a snooze was supposed to be like 9 minutes. I did my laundry last night, and I completely forgot that I did my laundry last night. So my clothes sat soaking wet in the washing machine overnight. I had to rewash them.
Perfect shot.
Can we get a drop, please? A drop? Just one? Golf class, you Democrat. Did I say hi to you, Flyfish? So how many times do you need to take the vaccine? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 times? I'm glad I didn't even have the first one. Jeds, yeah, I don't know what to say on that. I feel like it should be your choice, and no one should ridicule you for your choice. I have a couple family members that refuse to take it, and if I was king of the United States of America, I would strap them down to a gurney and administer it in their arm. Like, notice I said king. That means nobody has rights. I have the rights. And I also told both of them the reason I would do it is because I love them. And they both understood where I was coming from. I wasn't trying to be a tyrant. I don't shame them that they didn't get the vaccine or anything like that. I just personally, the way I weigh 1 and 2 against each other is you got a man-made virus and a man-made semi-vaccine. I would rather have the man-made semi-vaccine than the man-made virus. Terry McCauley, what's up, buddy? Santos, good to see you. I agree with Legendary. You are at least being respectful, even if you don't agree. I didn't see Legendary say that, but thank you very much. Oh, yeah, there it is. Don't apologize. Your platform, so you should be fine to voice your opinion as long as we are not being cruel to each other. No issue. No, you're 100% right, but I do value people who get upset, you know? I value people because had I not had this conversation, we would still be on good terms. You know, I wasn't seeking to come on streaming and talking, you know, about this particular topic. I understand what you're saying as well, and I appreciate the kind words. I really do. It just sucks to lose friends, people I consider friends, because of, you know, things that I was talking about today. I may not have to apologize, so it's not like a forced apology. I am apologizing just because I respect the friendship more than I respect the topic, you know? Jens, I definitely 1,000% agree with you. What's up, Tink Tink? I 1,000% agree with you, man. You know, certain things I buy, certain things I don't buy. One of the things I buy is that when you get your vaccine, at least up until Delta, Omicron doesn't seem to care whether you have a vaccine or not. But, you know, if you got Delta and you were vaccinated, you fared far better. Far better. I want my family, I want my friends, I want everyone to be as healthy as humanly possible. Oh, it's top. Okay. Nine 8 is 13.5. Alexa,
shot.
set an alarm for 10 minutes from now.
10 minutes, starting now.
Alexa, turn that alarm off.
Perfect shot. Birdie.
Jeffrey, from my understanding from the news, Omicron doesn't care much if you're vaccinated. Now, there are a lot of doctors saying you'll get it less severe, but there's tons of breakthrough. So just from one friend to another, if you are vaccinated, please continue to be careful. Because especially if you have comorbidities or you're taking care of someone who has comorbidities. But the good news is Omicron is very, very mild for most, not everyone, but for the vast majority. And it also gives you a bunch of protection against Delta. No, I agree with what Jeffrey just said there, though. And the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID. It prevents you from dying from it. I feel like it does kind of prevent you from getting it. You know, at least it did up to Delta, not Omicron. Because what was it, like, originally, I think they said it was like 96% efficacy rate. And if you think about it, that's not as high as you would think. That's 1 in 20 people would still be affected. And you're like, well, 1 in 20 is, a small price to pay. But if you could think of 20 people, 19 people, and stick them in a room with you, you would be like, oh, we're all vaccinated. We're all sweet. So the vaccine was never 100% to begin with. But I do agree with Jeffrey. And I took the jab twice. I am a little afraid of the booster. And now that I am hopefully just recovering from Omicron, I'll have a little more time. But yeah, Israel's up to what, 4 boosters now? How many more boosters are there going to be? I mean, I get it. But another thing to look forward to is there's medications coming out to keep you from needing hospitalization as well. I think that'll help. And eventually this will just become like a flu shot. Dean Hill, I'm so sorry to hear that, bro. Very sorry to hear that. I actually had one of my closest friends pass away. Big Joe. Taught me how to box. Anything good about me as a teenager. He had a huge impact on me. He got Delta. And he passed away from it, and it sucks. My wife got COVID from a coworker back before Delta was a thing, when it was new. I think our first Thanksgiving with COVID. And the person who worked in her office gave it to her. He died. So we're not far from, from degrees of people passing away. I know a couple. And it's scary, But I'm for the vaccine. I'm also scared of it. And I think that a lot of people that refuse to get the vaccine are afraid of it too. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. The people in my family would probably get the vaccine if they weren't afraid of it. They don't know what it's going to do to them down the road. They don't know that. They're not trying to be like vectors. They're not going, how can I make sure COVID lasts an extra long time for everyone? I know. I won't take the vaccine. I gotta get on my phone call with Putin now. No, I mean, there's a lot of secrecy. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of things tied up into all of this. And, you know, it was just so funny how things flipped. You got to remember, a certain presidential candidate said, I will not take any vaccine that comes from Donald Trump's, regime. I don't have to name names on that. You know who I'm talking about. And, Donald Trump didn't win, and wow, they're vaccinated. So what I'm trying to say there isn't an attack on Democrats. What I'm saying is we could be in a parallel universe where we're the ones saying get vaccinated, and the Democrats are like, oh, hell no, I don't know what's in that. And there's tons of Democrats out there who are not getting vaccines because they're scared. They're not doing it to be evil. They're scared. And the last thing they need is to have people ragging on them. You know, have people calling them idiots and whatever it is. Alan, yes, Cleveland sucks. But it got much better. We used to be I think we made it as high as number 2 for the most dangerous cities in the United States back in the 90s, but now we're no longer in the top 10. I think we're kicking between like 11 and 15. So we're moving on up to me. Thank you, Golf and Sonic. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's sally forth. Now, YouTube, in all their infinite wisdom, removed the dislike button. So whether you liked this or not, I appreciate I appreciate you being here, but I would really appreciate if after the stream posts, which it normally takes, 20 minutes, a half hour, if you could just leave a comment on the stream. Don't do it now. I'm not talking about it in the chat. I'm talking about in the actual comment section, because there could be 50 likes on here, but there could be 80 thumbs down, from people who are upset. And don't dislike it because it's Golf Clash. What I'm saying is dislike it. It'll kind of let me gauge if I should start another channel. Because I love having these conversations. I really do. And I love hearing from people with differing views. So, I mean, sure, I would have people that I agree with on a lot of time if they would like to. But I also like to, hear other people's side of things. I've been wrong. You want to know some things I've been wrong on? I thought that, what's his name, Zimmerman? I thought he was innocent. I thought the media was just freaking going after him because it fit their agenda. And then, I hear about all the stuff he did afterward. He, threatened his wife or girlfriend with a gun and, this, that, and the other. And, just all this creepy stuff came out. I was wrong. I'm okay. I fought against neighbors, in the same way that I'm fighting here, not like we hated each other. But, everyone was like, oh my God, how could you be on George Zimmerman's side? And it's like, in all honesty, if the kid would have just, listened to an adult and, this, that, and the other, none of this would have happened. And, as the truth eventually came out on, I was dead wrong, man. That guy's a freaking psychopath. And I'm embarrassed to say that I was on his side. But you know what? I went with the information that was available to me at the time, and I came to that conclusion. So I'm not always going to be right. Just like you're not always going to be right. And that's why it's so important to listen to differing views. Because it's better to be right, you know? And you can't be right if you're in the dark. If you got your head buried in the sand.
Perfect shot.
That's why I don't listen to Fox News anymore. You know? That's why I don't get everything from just one place.
Nice.
Alexa, snooze.
Okay. Snoozing your timer for 5 minutes.
I could think of a lot of other things. Cash for clunkers, I thought was horrible. The bailout for General Motors and Chrysler was 1,000% against. My freaking favorite cars are the Mustang and the Challenger. God, I could probably, like, I can't just pull it out of my head right now. But there's a lot of things that I was for or against that I was dead wrong.
Perfect shot. Nice on. Eagle.
I'm sure I did some irreparable damage to some of my friendships. I hope that certain people end up coming back. And it's not anyone who said, RJ, you're a jerk, I'm out of here. It's, you know, probably more people that watch quietly in the background. And those are the people
Eagle.
that, you know, that I get concerned about. Or even people who respectfully disagree and then just can't get over the fact that, you know, I don't think the same way that they think. I just want to say it was a conversation. The conversation is over because the stream's over. I'm going to keep it out of my future golf clashes. And I really hope that you know who you are, you know, out there. And when I say you know who you are, I'm not talking about one individual. There's a lot of people who think very different from me that I just think the world of. And there's a lot of people who think a lot like me that I think the world of. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think both accounts should make it through. Feel pretty good today, so doesn't look like we'll have too much of an issue with a 2-hour stream. Yo mama watches quietly in the background, Fuzzy Elf. Does the snooze work for you, RJ? It never works when I tell. Yeah, the snooze does work, but I hate that it's only a 5-minute snooze. Randy, I completely agree with you. Anyway, I'm out of here. Once again, please come back in like any time after about a half hour. And if you did not like it, if you thought it had no place with Golf Clash, but you could see another channel you would like to watch it or something, let me know in those comments. I would say to leave it on the comments here, but they go by and I don't see them, and I miss a lot. So,